Hello, I'm Sonia and I welcome you back to my channel Grammar Forward. In this series on English verb tenses, we have already covered present and past, simple and continuous tenses. So now we are going to move on to the future tense, and in today's lesson we are going to take up future simple tense. So in this session, we are going to discuss everything you need to know about this basic tense. So what is future simple tense? Future simple is just a verb tense in English that is used to talk about things that haven't happened yet. That means if now is the present and if what happened before belongs to the past, then what is going to happen later can be called future. And in English, there are different ways in which we can talk about future. And we are going to take up each one of them in today's session. Here on the board, you will find the three different ways in which we can talk about future. Starting with the first one, the easiest and the most common way is using will. Because this word will, which is a modal auxiliary verb, is used here to show future, we call the future tense the will tense. So here you have an example. I will talk to the manager tomorrow. Clear, simple, right? You just use will with the verb, and that shows future tense. We can also denote future using be with going to and the verb. What do I mean by that? Here this example will make it clear. I am going to meet my friend this weekend. So here I said we are going to use be, but what did I use here? I changed be into am because here the subject is I, so I cannot say I be. It is I am. But if it was she, you would say she is going to meet her friend. So I am going to meet my friend this weekend. So this weekend comes later. We talk about future tense there using be and going to. Yet another way is using present continuous tense. Yes, I said it right. Using present continuous tense, you can denote future tense. So what do I do there? I write, I am meeting my friend this weekend. Straight away you use the present continuous tense. I am meeting my friend this weekend. So all of these three ways can be used, but this is the easiest way, the clearest way possible to denote future tense. Now let's focus on the differences between using will on one hand and using be plus going to and the present continuous tense on the other hand. Let's start with will. Will is used in a very formal way. Maybe that was a part of a business meeting or a very official kind of conversation. Whereas these two are used in an informal way and it's usually a part of a casual conversation. Another difference is will is used when the action that we are talking about is totally unplanned. That is, while speaking, at a moment of speaking, at a spur of the moment, we took that decision and then we use will. For example, when I say, I will talk to him tomorrow, I didn't plan for it earlier. On the other hand, when we use be plus going to or the present continuous tense, it's clear that the plan has already been made before the moment of speaking. So that means because we use will for something which was totally unplanned, the chances of that actually happening is less. So we are not sure, we are not very certain whether that will actually take place. On the other hand, when you say, I am meeting my friend this weekend, it's more likely to happen because the plan or the arrangement was made even before. In fact, there's a slight difference between the use of be plus going to and present continuous tense. What is that? When I say I'm going to meet my friend this weekend, that means that I have a plan, but I'm not very sure about when I'm going to meet him or where I'm going to meet him. That means the arrangements are not made, it's just a plan. So, it actually happening is not very certain. On the other hand, when I say I'm meeting my friend, here I've used the present continuous tense. That means that the arrangements have already been made. So I know where and when I'm going to meet my friend. And the whole thing is less likely to get cancelled. Now let's see how the future simple tense is formed. The formation of this tense is super easy that you are going to understand all of this in a jiff. So in order to form the positive or the affirmative, you just have to add the modal auxiliary verb will. So here you have I will go shopping tomorrow. They will be here next Monday. So you notice that I is singular and they is plural. So whether the subject is singular or plural, it's always will that you are going to use with the root form of the verb. Don't change the verb once you add will. In order to form the negative, you have to add the word not. And where do you add that? You add it after the modal auxiliary will. So you have he will not attend the meeting. And what is the contraction of will not? You have she won't go to work tomorrow. She won't go. So will not became won't. And to form the question, which is yes or no kind of question, you have to start with will. So you just exchange the words here. So you start with the modal auxiliary will, then you have the subject followed by the root form of the verb. So you have will you go shopping tomorrow? Here you had I will go shopping. So that became will you go shopping tomorrow? Another question is will they be here next Monday? And what do we do in order to make the WH question? You just put the WH word in front of the yes or no question. So here I added this WH word when. So I have the question, when will you go shopping? How long will they stay with you? Here I am showing you how to form the contracted forms of future simple tense. So here you have I will, which becomes I'll. So you remove the first two letters of this modal auxiliary and it becomes I'll. You will becomes you will. They will be they'll. We will be we'll. He will becomes he'll. She will becomes she'll. But it will remains the same. We normally don't make the contracted form of it will. And as for the negative, what we do is we shorten will not into won't. So with all of these subject pronouns, it's the same. I won't, you won't, they won't, we, he, she, it won't. Now we are entering the most important part of this lesson because we are going to discuss when to use future simple tense. So here is the first one. We use the future simple tense when there is no plan or decision made before the moment of speaking. Let's read these two examples. Hold on, I'll get a pen. We will see what we can do to help you. You can see that in these two sentences, I denoted the future tense using will and the root form of the verb. I will get, we will see. And why did I go for this way? Because here there's no plan or decision made before the moment of speaking to do that. Or, in other words, while speaking, spontaneously that decision was made. So, when a plan or an arrangement has been made, how do we denote future tense? We use either going to plus verb or we use the present continuous tense. But there is an exception here. and we have to be very careful about that. With the verb be, we can use will even when the action has been planned before the moment of speaking. That is only for the verb be. For all other verbs, we use will when there is no plan made before the moment of speaking. Let's have these examples. He will be in Dubai next week for a conference. So it's clear that every plan and arrangement has been made regarding this. But still I used will because I use it with be. Another example, I will be home this Christmas. So again, from the sentence it's obvious that every plan has been made for this, but still I used will with be. We can also use the future simple tense to offer help, or in other words, to express willingness to do something. For example, somebody says, I can't solve this math problem, and then you offer to help them by saying, I'll help you with it. I will help you with it. Or, I'll do the dishes for you. You can notice that in all these cases I am using the short form or the contracted form because it looks nicer, it sounds nicer in spoken English. Another use is to refuse something or to express unwillingness to do something. Example, you say, sorry, I won't do the washing up today. Or, I won't help you do the homework this time. Future simple tense is also used to refer to promises or threats. So here we have this example. If you help me, I'll give you a treat. That's a promise. Stop making noise or I'll call the teacher. And here, this is a threat. It's also used to talk about predictions very commonly. So example, I think he will come tomorrow. I can also say it in a different way. He will probably come tomorrow. So here I use the word probably to show that I'm not very sure about it. On the other hand, in this sentence, I used a different word. He will definitely come tomorrow because I'm 100% sure that this is going to happen. Thus, by now, you have already learned how to use the modal auxiliary verb will in order to talk about a future action. But then the question is, can we also use the other modal auxiliary verb shall in order to denote future? Well, in American English, the use of shall is more or less dated or obsolete. But in British English, it is used occasionally, and when used, it's paired with the first person singular and plural pronouns I and we. But more commonly, we find will being used. In another video, we will take up the differences between shall and will. But now we are going to focus on the other language functions using will and shall. So the first one is, we can use shall with I in question form in order to make an offer. For example, shall I open the window? This is making an offer using shall. Here we cannot ask, will I open the window? Another case is, with we, in the question form, we use shall in order to make a suggestion. So, an example, shall we go to the beach? Shall we go to the cinema tonight? So, that is a suggestion. The next one, with I in the question form using shall to ask for advice or instructions. So, here comes the example. What shall I tell the manager about the reports? Not what will I tell the manager, what shall I tell the manager about the reports? What shall I tell the teacher about the marks? There are a few more language functions possible here. So with you, we can use will in order to give orders. So here is an example. You will do what I say. That is giving orders. And with you again, in the interrogative form or in the question form, we use will in order to give an invitation, that is to invite somebody to do something. So here is the example. Will you sing with me? Now let's look at some of the most commonly made mistakes while using the future simple tense, and let's see how to stop making these mistakes once and for all. So here is the first sentence with a mistake in it. The phone is ringing and somebody says, I'm going to answer it. So here it is clear that the mistake is with the verb tense used here. You can see that we have used going to plus verb in order to show future. But do we have to use this form? Isn't it enough just to use the will form? Because you can see that while speaking, at the moment of speaking, the decision is made to answer the phone. So in this case, it's enough to use the will form in order to denote future. So here it is, I will answer it. The next one, I promise I'm going to help. So with such expressions such as promise, there is no need to use the going to form. It's enough to use the will, the simple future tense with will. So here we say, I promise I will help. So this again is to be removed and it will be I will help. Number 3, if you will give me the address, I will send the letter. If you will give me the address, I will send the letter. Should we use the will with the if clause? Here you can see that this is an if clause. It begins with if. Whenever an if clause is used, we just use the present simple tense. We don't use will in that clause. So here, this should be removed. If you give me the address, I will send the letter. Here is the fourth question for you. He can't attend the wedding next week. He will return to London tomorrow. Here you can see that the mistake is in the second part of the sentence, that's here. Here I have used will plus verb to talk about a future action. And what is the action? Returning to London. You can see that for such an action to take place, plans or arrangements would have been made earlier, before speaking. So it's wrong to use will. It should be either be going to or the present continuous tense. So this is to be removed. It's not will, it should be he is going to return, or you can also write he is returning to London tomorrow. So both of these are right, but not will plus verb in this case. And the next sentence is, you are going to fail unless you work hard. Here you can see that a kind of prediction has been made. And when we predict something, we never use the going to form. It should always be the will plus verb. So it is, you will fail unless you work hard. Thus we have come to the end of this session. I hope you found this session interesting. And if you haven't already liked my video, please do, and please also subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. See you in the next session. Goodbye until then. Take care and stay safe.